A couple wags of the finger here and there, but props to the way they designed her, especially clothing-wise. But yeah, you can still see out through here that it still maintains that very old architectural style, and also they seem to have gotten a little bit lazy because it just, like, the detail just drops way off. Probably for things just like hardware limitations and all that, but I still would have loved to maybe see more detail. And also, the railing on the side of this is just weird. You'd think they'd have those metal things on highways or whatever. I don't remember what they're called, bumpers? Anyways, we'll just continue on. So yeah, now Alex will tell us a little about herself.
You back in Black Mesa? I'm sure you don't remember me though.
And also just
few words, aren't you?
And just noting her character design a little bit. I mean, and derpy animation. They decide not to dress her skimpily at all, like in the least, which is very nice.
Your old administrator.
But again, go more into that when I actually get a chance to talk, when there's not a whole lot of dialogue going on. Anyways, before we go in there, we can kind of look around here, and even things like these posters right here kind of give you the idea that a lot of people who I guess you would consider revolutionaries are going through here. These would not be propaganda posters in the sense that the Combine would make. You don't see things like this. The colors and the style are not something for Combine. Also kind of nice thing with the Half-Life symbol. Graffiti and stuff like that. So this seems like the Underground Railroad, I guess you can say, for people who are like refugees and things like that. Also interesting thing to note about games of this era. I mean, you still see this nowadays. Shut up, we'll be there in a minute. Games like this nowadays still do it, but especially back in 2004, 5, even 6. A lot of times when they connect the levels, they do connect it through like a small corridor with little information. The reasoning for that is just basic things like lighting. It's really difficult to make the lighting match up perfectly when even if you copy over the geometry and all the lighting from the previous level to start from there, from where you're at now. Still difficult and a lot of work, so a lot of times they just get around that by creating a corridor with simple things going on, and they delete all the geometry behind us, or more likely just recreate the level and copy some stuff and import it back into the next level. There's one mission in particular that I'll try to remember to point out where they don't do this, and there's an entire terrain around you which they do cut from level to level, which is really cool. If you played the first Unreal, they did this a lot as well. Connecting you through thin hallways and corridors. It's just super common. I wouldn't say lazy level design, more so combined. Well, I would say somewhat lazy level design and combined with things just like technology not being quite there. But again, just continue to note things like animation in this game. Very good. And still very ahead of its time.
Escape the city on foot. It's a dangerous route to my father's lab.
So
through the old canals. Today, we're finally on the verge of having a better way.
So she's moving on, and a lot of this wants you to keep following her and pushing along, so it makes it kind of difficult to talk. But you're talking about how this is a canal people go through, and the propaganda posters before kind of give you that idea, even on a subconscious level. And just one other another thing is when she jumped over here, it gives you more information about her personality. Obviously, she's not a very upbeat and happy person, like who would be living in this type of environment, but she still has some playfulness to her, which is, you know, why she jumps over this. And when we get in a part where I can actually just stand and look at her character and point things out to you with the clothing and stuff like that, I will, but it's just difficult to. Also just the pathing and the arrangement of everything's really weird.
Nice to finally meet you.
So yeah, we have some more time. And you can kind of explore over here, but if you notice the lighting's a lot dimmer. It doesn't really encourage you to go here, but they still kind of left this space open. You know, try to make it look like this is something. But, you know, there's no freaking handles on the door or anything like that. So just kind of odd, somewhat odd level design. And also things like this where they have it blocked off with like brick and mortar. So you can see a lot of this has been rearranged, maybe even blocked off by, well, less maybe and more almost absolutely blocked off by Dr. Kleiner and all that to look less like separate buildings. Or or they're just using an area that is not very populated and kind of abandoned, which would make sense. Also just amazing when you walk into here. It's like, especially for 2004, like this is really good.
Everything all right, Dr. Kleiner?
Oh, hello, Alex. Well, almost all right. Lamar has gotten out of her crate again. If I didn't know better, I'd suspect Barney of trapping and... My goodness. Gordon Freeman. It really is you,
And,
isn't it?
yep, so you finally get introduced to him.
Outside. Bit of a troublemaker, isn't he?
We owe a great deal to Dr. Freeman, even if trouble does tend to follow in his wake.
Yeah, so it does let you know, usually
I must
Gordon
say,
Freeman likes to
you've
start
come
shit.
at a very opportune time. Alex has just installed the final piece for our resurrected teleport.
I can't take any credit for the breakthrough, Doctor.
Nonsense. Your talents surpass your loveliness.
Let's just see if this thing works, okay?
Well, is he
And
here?
again, still, keep in mind, animation's good.
Man,
Timing's
Gordon,
great,
you
too.
stirred up the hive.
Also, I mean, pay attention to things like the technology. It's very old.
Don't worry, he's coming with me.
That's right, Barney.
It's like a very big mix
It's a
of
red letter day.
old
We'll
school,
inaugurate
like,
the new teleport
CRT
with a double
technology and
transmission.
You mean it's working?
some minor technology that's much more futuristic, but
Still have nightmares
just
about
mixed
that.
together.
No, no,
So you can tell they've
there's
used a lot of
nothing
scraps and stuff they could find laying
We've
around.
made major strides since then.
And Cat.
Major strides.
What cat?
I love the little inside jokes
Since
that they
he's
do
not
put in the
taking
game.
Streets, you might as well get him out of his civvies.
What?
And she's just annoyed and walks away.
I almost forgot. Barney,
So still those little subtleties of human interaction.
I've got to get back on my shift, but okay.
And really cool that Barney still takes the risk to come and see and talk to you. Especially how it's just really risky.
Here we go. Ah! Damn it, get it off me!
Lamar, there you
I
are.
thought you got rid of that pest.
Certainly not. Never fear, Gordon. She's
And little moments like these are good too. So in serious stories, you're going to see stuff like this where they like to use minor, brief instances of comedy to break things up a little bit.
Here, my pet. Hop up. No, not up there. No, no. Careful, Lamar. Those are quite fragile. Oh, fie. It'll be another week before I can coax her out of there.
Yeah, longer.
So just very cool.
You're not an animal person.
So again, before I get the suit, I guess we'll talk about stuff.
Slip into your suit now.
So yeah, let's talk about the lab a little bit before we go on to the next part. So like I said before, you can see the technology is just
If Dr. Kleiner said
Old.
you should wear that thing, you should wear it.
yeah, stop talking. The thing that does get annoying is you don't, sometimes this game really is pushy about making you go to the next objective rather than exploring. But I guess maybe they were doing that to try and press the urgency of the situation. You know, that you need to keep moving and going and going and going. So in that respect, I can kind of understand it, but
Gordon, we don't have time to fool around. Get
yeah,
shit
see.
on.
But it still annoys me. Like, I think that maybe they shouldn't be so pushy, I guess I could say. But again, yeah, the whole lab design is really, really nice. You can see that it's very makeshift,
Move on.
using lots of different combined pieces of technology. I can't really say much other than that than old school radio. So we'll get on the old suit, which you remember from Half-Life 1. Just really sexy. Good design. Anyways, let's go.
Well, Gordon, I see your HEV suit still fits you like a glove. At least the glove parts do. I've made a few modifications, but I'll just acquaint you with the essentials. Now, let's see.
So you can see them over here looking at the guards. So they are hacked into a lot of cameras and stuff like that related to, probably due to Barney's help, so he's probably helping them
We
hack
don't have time
cameras.
for this. At least
Again,
get that
using a lot of
stuff.
sound cues.
There's a charger on the wall.
So you can hear that they have a lot of droney sound
I've
effects
modified your suit to draw
that they
power
use
from
all the
combined
time.
Energy outlets, which are plentiful wherever they patrol.
Also, hold down W. I don't use WSAD to move. I use ESDF. It's from playing Quake. But yeah, they use a lot of sound cues like that, and you'll hear it a lot throughout the game where they use things that sound like drones or no, a term used for them is stings as well. Just like a one-off like note, like dun, and that's it.
Well,
and it really helps bring in the atmosphere of the game.
Gordon,
And you're just kind of like brought into things.
Panel over there and wait for my word.
Isaac, are you there?
Yes, yes, Eli.
And good sound design too with just the engine. You can hear things like echoes, or well, reverb more accurately for the
I
environment.
think it is.
It's not perfect, but it
And
works.
It's our intention to send him packing straight away.
And relatively realistic for the time,
Are you ready
in
for
terms
us,
of the
Dad?
way it would echo in a room like this.
On this end.
Then let's do it.
I feel like maybe this room would have a little bit less of a time delay than they have in the actual game, but close enough.
Conditions could hardly be more ideal.
So very tense moment, like the energy is really beginning to ramp up now in the series. So the whole time the energy is just constantly building up.
No fiddlesticks. What now?
Doctor.
So again, still having these funny moments. They want to make you smile and laugh, which is good.
Would you mind plugging us in?
A lot of times there's games that do take themselves too seriously, and people tend to not like them for it. They'll make fun of games that just take themselves too seriously. It's just one of those minor psychological things. So using comedy really, again, helps break things up. And again, more comedy after I pull this too. But it's lighthearted comedy. It's not like making a joke out of itself.
Commencing now.
I can't look.
Okay.
And good environmental effects. Like effects-wise, it's very good. And I would be hard-pressed to wonder why they don't find... If it was as loud as they said it was.
Thank
You'd think the Combine would hear that. That was pretty loud thunder.
palpable.
But I guess not.
Well,
Especially
I
with the
can't
big
take
power
all the
draws.
credit. Dr.
Like, I could
Freeman
imagine them sitting in the power
assistant.
plants, you know, in the area going, okay, what the hell just happened? We had a huge spike.
See you again in a few moments.
Good job, Gordon. Throwing that switch and all. I can see your MIT education really pays for itself.
All right, Barney. Your turn.
Gee, thanks.
Gordon, as soon as you're in position, we'll send you to Eli's.
And I do...
Too soon.
Yes. And I do like the fact that the main character is a scientist, more of a physicist. It's like not a game that glorifies the guy who just shoots guns and shit like that. I don't know the best way to explain it. They're more glorifying someone who's in the science field. They're putting him in a situation where he has to shoot and stuff, but it's just really cool. So you actually are playing a scientist. It's one of those games that, you know, I wonder if it encouraged anyone to be more interested in things that are science related. Of course, it had an older crowd, but you know there's a lot of kids really young playing this. I remember when I played Half-Life 1, I was pretty young too.
Gordon.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, I'm still young now, but I mean like kid young.
Bon voyage.
And also, cool thing with the texture, you notice how it just pops in and then all of a sudden it's blurred? Even though the actual movement of this isn't all that much. And again, now things are getting serious, so there's a consequence of him coming up there. And this sequence is really cool because you do have some control as to what's going on. So you're not completely stuck not being able to do anything. You know, a lot of times where you can't move or anything, it's like a cutscene rather than something you can move on. They restrict the speed of your movement, and a great reference. This right here is just clever storytelling. So right there you're introduced to the main bad guy. And stuff like this particular scene is referenced way further into the actual future of the game, but... And a Vortigaunt, so that's important.
All but certain it was
And see here? So he's talking to somebody on the computer, and he knows who you are now, so he knows you're here. And, yeah. So that was very significant.
Then where is he?
Behind you. Shut it down. Shut it down.
Gordon, you must get out of
So now this failed, and there's a lot of things taking pictures of you. So the surveillance knows where you're at. Like, they've traced you and figured out where you are. Also interesting, the sky just turned black. So more sound cues going on here too. Like I said before, with the sting sound effects. That was significant. So you saw everything from the main antagonist of the game. You also got to see the alien race that kind of overrules you. I don't want to say... Oh, well, this is mainly for people who've seen it, so I'll say it anyways. Like, at the end, you kind of get to see there's a alien race that is kind of dominating humanity. And people like Breen are the ones who are given orders by them to control the population. There we go. Trying to figure out a way to say that. You know, something simple to say, but I can't. So you get to see things like that. There's a lot of information packed in there. You see his office, you see the people he's talking to, and you most importantly get to see him, and you now know that he knows who you are. So things are only going to ramp up more and more. Although this game definitely does have downtimes where it needs to. So you're kind of out here in a generator room where these things are following you. And we're about to go into the next part, but again, I guess this is where I'm going to stop. I think this might be either 2 videos worth or 1. I think 1. But so, again, to recap that section, we got a lot of interesting information, and I forgot to look at Alex and analyze her clothing a little bit. I'll hold off on that, but just it's important to note, I guess, that they don't dress her skimpily, and they don't convey her in any way that's really sexual. Like, sure, there's little mannerisms she gives where she brushes her hair or seems like kind of daintily, but it's because it's implied that she kind of has a crush on Gordon. So they give her these types of animations and movements, and even scientifically you can prove a woman tends to be more interested in you when they stroke her hair and twiddle and stuff like that. So they use things like that in this game, which are very, very well thought out. And again, you can see small hallway for loading event. I think this brings on to the next part. I can't remember. So yeah, that's it for this part. Let me know what you guys think. What are your thoughts on this whole part of the game? I'd be interested in that. There were some great comments on the previous 2 videos. Even someone mentioning like the slanted roof and things of that nature. So, and that's actually something I didn't notice, but the slanting roofs thing is very clever, and I think you're completely right on that. That cue is just dead on.